has presented itself to the MSJ as representing that force, how does it get expression? It is now effectively outside of government. And so, in my view, these parties, whether or not their leaders have gone into the cabinet and become the prime ministers, men and women, these parties need to have effective leadership and representation of their interests outside of government. And that is why I raise, and I'm saying this with the benefit of David so he knows my position, that I was astonished when David came out of that meeting of the chairman and said that they will inform the political leaders of the position. And I'm saying this so I give you a chance to reply to me later. When I felt that they needed, having the chairman having met, they needed to go to the executives of their party and then let the executives involve the members of the organization in a discussion of those issues that will inform the position of the leaders of the party. Okay. What remains the missing link are the mechanisms for negotiation. Now, I want to just leave the detail now and step back out into the more the abstractions of the situation, which is, I do not believe, I have just written a column to come out on Monday in which I describe the PNM as the default position. The country keeps urging itself towards trying to find some framework for representation of all the interests of the country. We keep making this foray into an attempt, whether it was the alliance or the National Alliance of Trinidad and Tobago, or, well, first we had the ACDC, DLP, and so on, and the NAR, and now the People's Partnership, and we keep moving forward and then rolling back, moving forward, because the confusion, the philosophical confusion in my mind that translates itself in the failure to recognize the requirements for decision-making and implement them, and always use the escape exit through public relations. In other words, we manufacture for the public purpose. We are so afraid that, and we have so little confidence in the public's ability to engage these thorny issues. And that's part of the problem, the disrespect for people, or the feeling that we're not growing up. People do not believe that we can engage the public on these issues, and therefore we want to tell the public everything is okay, we are happy together. That's what you do with children. You fool the children. And so, but of course, real life and real politics and the process of being in government will very quickly do away with that. The issue for us in the Caribbean has always been representation. It is, we can understand at the point of independence how the party of the Afro-Saxon came to power as the one that seemed most fit to rule. It is the one that seemed educated, it was urban, the professional class, and who is better placed to replace the governor's men than that class. Over the years, it had at that time its own alliances, its own coalitions that were not overtly described as coalition, and I think we can know the role of Kamal Mohammed in the PNM, carrying the Muslims in with them, and the Muslims. I come from a community in central Trinidad, Balmain village, and next door to me is Prisal, and almost everybody in that village was Muslim, because there are a lot of families and so on who related to each other. And automatically, when the votes are counted election night, you would hear that particular polling area. That's why you know the PNM votes will spike. But the community, constituency as a whole, would always be the Hindu vote going to the DLP, the ULF, and the UNC later on, because they went in. You have Winston Mahabir took the Presbyterians in. So they had their own coalition without saying it's a coalition. As time has gone, some of these have pulled away. And what we have today is, we know that it's a PNM without. That is what has made it possible to challenge the PNM in terms of the numbers. I think ultimately the country has to pull its mind out of the notion that this is London. I think we are still struggling with this idea that this is Trinidad and Tobago. The notion of a two-party state, and if you look at London, we'll see what's happening because they have their own coalition in government. This society has been structured completely differently. And so we have to, not just with our politics, but with everything else that we have to look at the reality, what really exists here, and what is the appropriate structure for it. Again, it's not just the politics, it's the education, it's the entertainment. What is it we see on the ground? What is real and what is relevant? The search for relevance is the heart of our challenge. And relevance in order to properly represent. You cannot consider yourself a democratic country if you do not have the mechanisms for representing people. But have you noticed how in Trinidad, parties don't represent people, but people represent parties? In other words, the people do not even need to engage what the issue is. They just go around and tell you they're right. The Prime Minister right. You ask them, well, let me engage you. What it is, they say no, they're right. So we have this inverted form of representation, which of course is our legacy, the autocratic legacy, that the governor comes, this is a position, and people go about and defend that position without any discussion about how it serves me, do I want this? That is the legacy of the autocratic form of government that we've had. And so we cannot hope for it, and we cannot expect that someday it's going to magically come, that people are going to learn they're going to represent themselves. We have to think in approaching the issue of constitutional reform, because that goes without saying, what are the things we might do that will, through politically and through constitution, what are the triggers we might release into the society that will begin to encourage people, instead of you representing your party representing you, because that is when the mass of the population comes into the corridors of power. And I know you have a strong, the CRF has a strong position on local government, and I mean, of course we support that, but even now, if tomorrow you had a program for local government, the big challenge is how do you end up with a local government councillors not representing the center as well? So ultimately, you come down to the challenge of the individual. What can we do at the individual level to put the mind, to have a transformation of the mental landscape? It does come with education, but not education alone in school. It comes as well with the education and the conversation in the society. There should be a very, very high premium in every political party for conversation and discussion and debate, such as this. That's my half hour. I think this is a good point at which to just release the floor.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Thank you. We do have a lot to talk about. And thanks for opening up the space for us to engage with one another. So I'm not really going to be talking here for much longer. I see people have been scribbling and writing away, and I could see the responses in the faces and so on. So no need for me to repeat what Suniti has said. She has said it very clearly, very forcefully, very directly. And as she has said, I hope that